Bienvenue à Valérie Maltaverne et Olivier Gabet. Valérie is a designer, filmmaker in a previous life, and the head of Ymer Malta. And Olivier Gabet is at the Louvre, the head of Art Decorative, I believe. And we are here in advance of the French American Cultural Foundation's program on Savoir Faire and Innovation, which we'll be discussing all day tomorrow with various audiences, but welcome indeed. And I thought we could begin, because this is about savoir faire and innovation, and having you talk about, for an American audience, what do you define as savoir faire? What is savoir faire?
Alors, so savoir faire is, the translation is know-how. And historically speaking, I would say it connects us today with the most ancient world and vision of excellence in craft, technique, and style.
It's so interesting, your definition, because it encompasses so much. The idea of craft or making, the idea somehow of cultural history, and certainly the ancientness of it. So how does all of that relate to your idea about what innovation is, especially in the context of your practice? Because you have, from my sense of your practice, a process that is quite innovative. But I'd like you to talk about that.
I think if my process is innovative, it's because I have behind my work 25 years working in a movies business, as you say, as a producer and an author. So I'm used to work with a scenario that I did exactly that the process I have in the collection that we make. And after, I'm really habit to work with a big team. I am with a team oriented. And so, when I began to work in the art decorative, I was sure that it was a normal process. And it's because I was talking with a friend of mine. She was at the beginning, at that time, the director of the Musée des Arts Déco. And we met at 8 o'clock in the morning, because this was the time she got at the museum, and it was the time I put my girl at school. And so sometimes we had coffee together, and I told her my life, and said, Valérie, nobody works like you. And I said, how people are working? And I said, they can be a gallery, they can be an artist, they can be a designer, and they can be an artisan. And you are everywhere. And you put you work with the savoir faire, the know-how, and you bring it to the 21st century. And because I think, in fact, it's what I like in my work, to make the very prestigious French savoir faire, to bring it into the 21st century. It's probably the thing that I really prefer.
I have so many questions about the objects that you produce, but I'd like to talk more about your process, which you're describing as intensely collaborative teams of people, so different from the sort of lone artist producing, a painting, say, crafting something that how long does this take? How many people are we talking about? I mean, if you're talking about furniture, I'm looking here, you're talking about components, fabric, structure, wood. Yes. I mean, what does that involve?
Alors, so first, I think I could not say I'm doing just furniture. It's really art pieces furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't have any marketing behind me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about money at all. So it gives me a big liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And I really start to give a scenario to my collection. And oftenly, every piece has a scenario in the scenario of the collection.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a go and back, a dialogue between first the designer,
mm-hmm.
and a collection is between 5 and 7 different pieces. So the time of the draw can be 1 year. And after, to bring this savoir faire in the 21st century and to do things very perfectly well done, it took between 2 and 4 years. For example, for Aubusson tapestry, it took 4 years.
Wow. Wow. The pieces in the collection, 5 to 7 pieces, say, in the collection, do they have a relationship?
Yes.
And what is that? Are they like characters in a...
No, it's because of the scenario.
Okay.
Because of the scenario. For example, if I take the collection of Aubusson, at the beginning, there is no scenario. And I received the draw, and the drawing was just, I can say that, just horrible. And I said, okay. And no, but the designer knows. I said, oh, it's just, no. Don't try to explain me it's good. It's not. So we rip out at the beginning. And I said, okay, I have to find something, a direction. And so I said, where do you want to use and you feel comfortable with tapestry? And I said, okay, in the mountain, because it's wool generally. And so we are going to make a bench, and a bench with wood, with going to imitate the burn wood. The other one, we are going to make a cabinet with 2 beer inside the tapestry, inside the wood. So every pieces has a scenario. And we start the drawing. The drawing can stay, as I told you, very, very long, can take very long time. And after, I'm going to work with the weaver, and for them it was really difficult because it was the first time they make for one tapestry in relief. The other one, the tapestry, for example, has to traduce burn wood. So we had to find a new material to make all these things happen. So, for example, for the burn bench, we had to find fiber, comment du fil? Fibre de verre, fiber, through
glass fiber,
glass fiber, bamboo yard, rayon yard, silk thread. So we had to find all the material, and after to also find the good nuts, the points, nuts. So that's why it's go and back also with the artisan. And I think that's why there is a big magic, in fact, because at the end it's happened.
Magic it sounds like there is a lot of magic there, but it sounds like you're not only intensely querying your colleagues and the people that are the designers, but also the materials themselves. You're actually, deeply looking into their properties, the way that they come together. I mean, is there something what has surprised you most about, what revelation or epiphany have you about materials
No, I think when I start something, I am completely in a black world. I don't see anything. And
you have no vision?
I have, but I don't know if we are going to make it happen. So we go very slowly, and sometimes the idea move a little bit to be, the idea at the beginning is going to move because the artisan can't do it, or if I feel, because I change every time of material or a savoir faire. So I am not a professional. And for me, everything is possible. And when I'm going to see an artisan, I told him, it's going to happen. Please help me to make it happen. And really, he do his best, and it's making it happen. For example, for the Noguchi Museum, we made the collection Akare Unfolded. It was a very big team because I worked with 25 different artisans.
That's a lot.
And 2 engineers, because we had to invent 2 materials that doesn't exist.
Wow.
So, for example, a light called Belle de Jour. I didn't want to use washi paper because I thought, I said, we are not Japanese. We are French. Noguchi, when he did his light, it was in Noguchi paper, and it's normally Japanese. And we are French. So I said, what material are we going to do that? Unfortunately, I spent a lot of time to my grandparents' house in holidays. They were used to live in Normandy. And I knew that we produced probably something like 90% of the linen.
Ah, so the linen substituted for the paper.
Exactly. And so we had to learn how to be stuffed. So I had to see an engineer to try how to make it. And there is another light called Les Galets. And when, so at the beginning, how I work first with the designer, I know that I want something very peaceful to be in the universe of Noguchi. And when you go to his museum in the garden, everything is so calm and so cool. And there you have a lot of rock stones, but very cool stone. And I said the scenario is going to be stone, but very cool stone. So the draw comes quite fast. But after, when I went to see craftsman, when you work with resin, because we had to use resin to make the stone transparent. So resin with sand make it happen. You feel like you are in a stone. But all the artisans make it with a saume, comment on dit un joint?
A joint.
A joint.
A joint.
A joint. Mais c'est un autre mot. With a joint.
A seam.
A seam. Exactly. Thank you for that. It's a seam. And I said, but we are in the 21st century. I don't want a seam. But they say it's not possible, Valérie, because when you work with resin, you mold it, you have to.
It's a mold, right?
It's a mold.
So you have to.
And I said, I don't care. We have to find another. So I went to see 1 and 2 and 3, and all of them have the same response. And I don't know how it's happened. I can't even not remember, because I took my phone and I called and I said that. And once people told me, you should see that guy, this engineer, for the moment he's not working because the company is working for, it doesn't work anymore for 2 or 3 months. They were in bankruptcy at the end. And I called him and he said, Valérie, if you want, I can help you. I'm going to think and I come back to you in 1 month. But I'm very happy to help you on this case. And so, he think, obviously, he called me once, he said, I still don't find the process. And 2 months later, he called me and said, Valérie, if you buy me a machine, a rotomoulage machine, I don't know how you say that in English, but it's a machine who do that. You don't have a mud. The mud is in one piece, and you project the resin on it, and it's moving like that, so everything's going to put around inside, and we can try. Okay, what's the price of the machine? It was okay, 10,000 euros. I said, let's go, but I trust him. I trust him, and I knew that he would be his best to make it happen. And I'm not sure because I can be too long. So if you say that I'm too long, you have to tell me that, because that's why tomorrow I have my paper, because everybody told me when I go in my subject, I can stop.
But this is beyond just, I mean, it's innovative and it's innovation, but it's also you're inventing seamless resin. You're inventing a fiber that is made of glass fibers.
Yes, it's all the time all the collection.
Intersection of engineering
Yes.
with your craftsmen, with
Yes.
your vision.
Yes.
Even though, as you say, you're sort of in this black box, you don't know how to get there, but
when, for example, because the Aubusson tapestry collection was commissioned by the Museum of Aubusson, and they said, Valérie, we saw your work in the wood marquetry, and he was very impressed by that. So he said, I'm going to ask Valérie to do the same thing with the tapestry, to bring it in the 21st century, to push the weaver to think out of the box. And why I say that, I could not remember.
I talk a little bit because our U.S. audience won't really understand Aubusson and the whole weaving and tapestry tradition. Just say a few words about what you mentioned history in your opening kind of definition of savoir faire and the ancientness of it.
So for people, what is the tapestry d'Aubusson? If you go to Versailles, for example, it's what you are all in the wall, on the wall. Usually it's a coroning scene, or it's a scene of hunting, or it's a nature. And when he came to me and asked me to make a collection with this savoir faire, yes, at the beginning I was really afraid, because normally I am at the beginning of my collection, but here I have to deliver something, so it's make me afraid, in fact. And day after day, week after week, month after month, I define a scenario, pieces has scenario, and start can begin, in fact. If we don't have scenario, and if we don't, that's why it's a team oriented, because I need people who has no ego. No, it's true, because if I don't like, I don't like, and if I said we have to make this draw is good, but it's not exactly what I feel, we can do it 100 times.
Are you also egoless? Do you minimize your own ego?
I think my place I don't have an ego, because I don't make it.
Yes.
I am not with my ordinator to make the 3D. I'm just here to give my point of view, to know where I want people go. It's exactly as I was, in fact, a director and a producer. And the designer, they are my actor.
Yes.
It's my play, it's my gift, it's my play to make them, it's my role to make them play well. And the artisan is my crew, the sound, the cadre. And you know what? This guy, it's because of him I find this definition, because he never know how to present me. And once we were coming back from the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and I told him, but stop to say that I'm that or that or that. Is try to understand what I'm doing. And he said, so how can I explain it? And I know, because Olivier loved to play with his phone. And I said, okay, I have 1 minute to push him. And I said, okay, I'm going to explain you. And so I go in my past, and I said, exactly if I was a producer and a director, and I have some actor, and I have a team to make it. And it's the magic. That is the magic. It's how should others use this process? No, it's impossible, because it's because I have 25 years working in this business. And if you work in the movie and TV business, you know that you need to be very strong, because if you are not strong in this business, everybody work in your head, and so you need to really go with your soul, with your passion, with everything you have in your body, in fact. So and to have the vision, and to bring all the people go into the same objective.
Yeah, you're leading them, and envisioning. How do you? obviously you communicate with your team through words. Do you draw? Do you do anything else other than verbal communication?
For example, last year I drew two things, but I think it's not my role, because if I draw, I don't have the distance, and I have to be here.
Yes.
Why I did two things? It's because right now I am not in collection, so I can use my time to make thing, and I make a little stool, and it's still not finished right now, produced, but I'm very proud of it. But it's not my role. It's like you want to ask to a director of movie director to say go to play and be the star. It's like that, and if you don't have a very good team, even if the scenario is good, even if the actors are good, even if you direct and you have all the money to produce your movie, if the team of is not good, your movie won't be good. So it's everybody puts his part.
Does your process include prototypes? Do you make prototypes?
A lot of prototypes. A lot, and a lot. A maquette also. Maquette. And the prototypes, because usually the prototypes is not very well, there is some defaults. So I live at my place with the prototypes.
You're testing them.
Yes, basically. Yes, because I know nobody can acquire it, because we, for example, for the wood marquetry collection, we try different varnish, and if we see that the varnish could not accept a glass of wine, but it's not a good varnish, so we polish it. We retry another one, because it was really the beginning. Because when I started to work with the wood marquetry collection, this Savoir Faire was totally abandoned. Totally abandoned. When I said to my friend, I'm going to make something with marquetry, people say, are you crazy? No more people don't care about. And we had, at that time, we were at the apogee of industrial design. And I decided to go just at the opposite of that.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's also something that I think will fascinate a U.S. audience is that opposite of industrial design. I mean, we are in an IKEA world often, and where we live in mass production, certainly. And that brings me to the question of who is the audience for your work? Who loves it? Who embraces it? Who buys it?
Alors, so fortunately, the museum in Paris follow me quite fast, assez rapidement, quite fast, and because they saw that it was something very, qu'est-ce que je pourrais dire, exceptionnel, very with a lot of work behind, with a lot of innovation. Obviously, so transmission. And so when you have, like Olivier, director du Musée des Arts Décoratifs, you love marquetry, you love tapisserie Le Busson, but most of the people do not know what it was at that time. And I go with my heart, with my passion, and I think for me, I don't want to live with marquetry, with little flower and little butterfly. I want to really put the design in the 21st century and the technique. It's all the time that's balance.
How can your process and your practice, can it influence this industrial world? And if so, how?
What is the process of what?
Do you think the process can influence industry?
If my process can influence, I think we are probably at the end of the industrial design because people know it's like clothes. It's better to buy 1 or 2 clothes than 100 done in a cheap material with no design behind. And I think the industrial design is going to be exactly like fashion. Nobody wants to spend and throw it in the garbage and throw it in the garbage. It's better to have just 2 or 3 pieces, very well done with a very. And I can tell you that I live with so the prototype of Ymer Malta. I'm surrounded at my place, and I know that because everything is so there is no bling bling. There is not everything is. At 1 centimeter exactly where it has to be. That's why there is a lot of work behind the drawings. You are never fed up of the piece.
Yeah,
it's they have a lot of poesy inside. Most of them, because my inspiration comes most of the time from nature.
mm-hmm.
So it's between outside and inside, and.
It does seem that many of the things that you make and your team makes are organic in a sense, or they feel related to nature. And so, who has influenced you? You mentioned Noguchi earlier. I think I remember reading that Frank Lloyd Wright influenced you at one point. I don't know, filmmakers. I mean, who is feeding you, essentially, intellectually? Who's feeding you?
It's crazy, but it's really natural. No, but it's crazy. Huh? For example, the tapestry, which is probably the most innovative piece of the collection. It's a picture that I took in Sri Lanka. I was in front of beautiful forest. I was at in Meadow, 1,000 meters up, and I saw a forest, and this forest reflected in a lake. And I said, okay, we are going to move this picture in the chalet, in the mountains. So we translate the forest by snow, the field of snow, powdery snow, frozen, snow blowing by the wind, and things happen like that, and slowly. The other one is because we make table basse, a table, for your voilà. And it was the year of the snake, the Chinese years, and there were snakes everywhere. And I say, okay, it could be a great subject. And secondly, it's like a tattoo, and the tattoo is very contemporary world at that time. And third, when I went to the marchand bois, the guy who sells the veneers, because I had to find for this collection probably 25 different type of veneers. So I found 5 at this place, 5 other one at the other one, and I saw white ebony veneers, perfectly done for make the scales of the snakes. So that's thing I'm moving like that.
You know, it's this question of the status of objects and our relationship to them. Do you think that the things that you and your colleagues make, as they're observed by others, used by others, do they change our awareness of the status of objects, of what a thing, a designed object can be? I mean, do you hope that your work has that ability to unlock someone else's realization about what a designed object is, or has the capacity to be, in terms of relating to them? I don't know if that question makes any sense. Yeah, you can look to.
No, just to be sure that I understand the question, you asked me if I'm taking care of what is going to be used.
No, it's more about whether you hope that the things that you and your team invent and produce will cause others who use them to more deeply understand the world of making that object and what has gone into it, the meaning of the object, the status of the object. I don't know, I'm veering off into the philosophical here. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but
well, I'm going to answer what I understand now.
Okay, that's good.
Best of things.
For me, the furniture has to come from the world of art, like a sculpture or like a very beautiful paysage, but I never forgot that it has to be done to be used. And I never forgot that if I make something in marquetry, you need to use it. You need to have to be able to have everyday dining, to have your lunch, and it's, for me, it doesn't go out because it's probably I choose the worst street to go, the worst chemin, the way. Because if you are an artist of painting, you are alone. You just make your painting, and people are running after buying painting. There is a lot of fair everywhere, and to make painting doesn't ask any technique. And if you make a tapisserie de Busson, for example,
you have to be a good painter.
Yes, yes, you have to be. But if I had to make, for example, a tapisserie just to put on the wall, it would be really less difficult than to make tapisserie in 3D. But I think more the cadre, le cadre de travail, more the frame is difficult, more you have to put your brain and to think and first never take time, never count your time, never. I think it's the secret.
My goodness. That's a blow at industrialization right there. To say, don't never count your time. My God. I'm just a few more questions. I want to go back to the materiality of this. I mean, you talked earlier about burnt wood. I mean, how did you learn? I mean, that is an Asian. Is it from an Asian culture? I think of burnt.
Yes. Burnt wood is a Japanese technique.
It is a Japanese technique.
Absolutely.
So how did you learn about? I mean, we're obviously going globally.
Yes. It's just because I really love this material. Burnt oak, for me, it's just beautiful. This black thing, very strong, because the oak is a very strong trees. And to have it, if you paint it in black, it will never be the same thing as burnt wood, because the burn, you can see the empreinte of the trees and of the tree, and it's true. It's begun from this technique, because I worked first on table of that, and my idea was really to do it in wood, in burnt wood. And I said it's going to be a good idea to make it in tapisserie de Busson, because the more difficult for a weaver, it's to translate a material or translate something like a poil, a hair, skin. For them, it's the worst thing to have it. To do it, but they do it. Yes, but for them it's really difficult. Well, how do they feel when you say, "Try"? I want you to express burnt wood, and yes. What do they do? No, if I can tell you, I work on so the lycée, all of them, they make samples to find the right material, as I told before, to find the right knots. And she probably made something like 100 different samples. And I was really afraid that once she told me, Barry, I'm fed up of your thing. I can't anymore. And I was nearly also fed up to that she could not find the way to do it. But feet after feet, we are arriving, but we were not at that point. And for me to go to Aubusson, it's like to go to New York, because Aubusson is very far from Paris. So when she didn't know how to make it, Barry, I really don't know, I'm lost. So okay, take my car, I go to Aubusson, I stay 2 or 3 days, I go back. She presents me so different material. And I don't know how things happen, but when I said everything is magic, everything is magic. I went to the Musée Cernucci in Paris. It's a museum near Le Parc Monceau. And I was at an exhibition and I saw a picture of a Korean artist with a big material. La peinture was so
Sick.
No, épaisse, so thick, black and white, because the bench is at the beginning very burn and less burn. So when it's less burn, the ashes becomes. So that's when the white becomes. At the beginning, the bench is very black with and becoming with ashes at the end. And when I bring her the picture of the painting, she understood.
Oh, wow.
She understood. At that time, obviously, there is the 100 samples behind. She was nearly to get it, but we still didn't. And at the time, she saw that And in fact, the artisan you are working with has to think exactly as you. You have to love him, and she has to love you. And I give you an example for the Console Polaire. I don't remember, Bolivie, the desert of Bolivie, and I stopped the car all the time to take picture of little herb. Little herb. She was in the Morvan, and she did exactly.
Which is a part of France in the mountain.
In the mountain, and she did exactly the same thing as me.
Wow. So you were.
Yes, we were completely connected. And when we came back, I saw Barry and saw her the picture. Wow. And I said, Barry, I did exactly the same thing as you. And in fact, if you have the best of the best, if all the team sing as you do, everybody is the same.
So you've all survived this intense collaboration. How much longer will you do this? Will you continue this for decades more? What is your expectation of yourself? I think.
Yes. I really. It's really motivating, and it's a real process of work. For me, my dream would be that one of my daughters join me because they live in a maquette in the living room for sometimes a week, and so they know perfectly well the process, and one is a good scenarist, and the other one has the eyes go very fast, so it can be both of them, or one, or no one, if they have something else that they prefer, obviously. But I think this work is really huge. It's very passionnant, and now because of all this knowing about artisanal, we bespoke pieces for some collectioner. If they need, for example, bookshelves, I won't do a bookshelf like that. It's going to be a bookshelf like a piece of art. And if somebody wants his castle with the chemin of his castle to be interpreted with a great way, I'm able to do that with Aubusson tapestry.
When you have a commission,
Yes.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also engage your client in the same intensity of process, or do you?
No, alors, when you are commissioned by Aubusson or by Noguchi or by Le Mobilier National, as I was, they follow. They are here.
Yeah.
They came to see the works, but they never say a word. But I think if they never say a word, it was because they were so happy. No, but
That's good.
no, but they were if you go on the YouTube of Ymer Malta, because we make video about people, and they say they understood that something appeared that he will never saw before in Aubusson tapestry. So probably that's why they let me do what I want. They follow the process. They came to the atelier, but they never say a word.
Mm.
Just Valérie, take your time. We are not hurry.
That's extraordinary. That's extraordinary. What do you want? Just an American audience to know, what do you want to tell us that I haven't asked, or that this is your chance to, is it, do you want to say something about French craft identity, about your practice, is your legacy? I mean, what that you wish as you wish it to be? What would you want us to know?
I think it's really important to make all this craftsmanship and to make all this transmission. It's really, really important, because we are nearly ready to lose it. Mm-hmm. So we really need, and now we can see that a lot of people, because when you work in this kind of work, it gives you le sens de la vie. Your life get a sense. Mm-hmm. You are not running after money all the time and headache every time when you go to bed. You work with your hand. You try to make something the most pretty as you could. So when, like we were this morning at the National Gallery, when you live with art around you, it makes you peaceful. Mm-hmm. Your head, you go and you go in the thing, and you don't think about yourself all the day long. And I think when you live with peace like that, it makes you, because it brings in your life poesy. You feel that there is a lot of people work around one piece, and this piece is complete, in fact.
Mm. Mm. That's poetic and lovely. I
think we could ask Olivier, because Olivier knows very well my work, and you are here because yes. he will say that he here just to see if I am pretty.
No, just to conclude with what Valérie said, is that it's true that there is a moment right now. I think it's a trend, but it's perhaps more global, of a great awareness about what we should transmit to the next generation, about perhaps more solid values and many of the contemporary values, and definitely the question of craftsmanship and design. It's really on the top of many of the concerns today, and I think that's also why Valérie and Malta embody something which is very strong about it, because I love the comparison you make with fashion, this moment of slow made, and
yes.
The question of choice, which is not a question of hierarchy, but perhaps only about priority hierarchy, to be more focused on some field and some question, and not to make sort of inviting your spirits to very superficial things. And that's true that in France, which was for a long time a great country, for a great nation of that. And we know there is very great specific moments. You talk about Aubusson and the Mobilier National. The Mobilier National is today in charge of the Gobelin manufactory, which is obviously one of the best things created in terms of decorative arts in the 17th century. But you have also what happened in Paris in the 18th century, which is the Marchand Mercier, where people like Valérie, artistic director, were not especially designer, but put together different people to say, I want something new, I want to push you to find something different because we want something which is different and set a new taste. We can be in the 1920s with the Art Deco, like, pushing the boundaries in terms of craftsmanship and taste and style and trying to, discover a new world. I think that for me as an art historian and a museum person, that's why when I met Valérie 12 years ago, even more, I was quite, surprised and amazed because as we talk about industrial design, but for people, object as another reality, contemporary object as another reality. Object you buy, you throw, you put to garbage, you don't care. And I think I was very surprised because what Valérie proposed is so far away from certain contemporary values, if we can call them values. And for an art historian, it's very strong to see that it's really also revived a sort of genealogy of objects. So for me, that's interesting that great manufacturers like Aubusson or the Mobile National ask Valérie to be part of their own life and adventure because it's a way to what I feel like very unconsciously like, oh, wow, is there this kind of genealogy and she's part of that. But she's really part of that because the actor of today very naturally takes their phone and say, would you consider to, do a project? You did a wonderful ensemble for the Mobile National of a desk and chairs and armchairs and so on. That's interesting because Mobile National is also in the heritage of such a long history, in terms of process and creativity. So I think that's really interesting to see that really that's this moment where so many things converge, slow made. I love the fact that you say that designer of craftsmanship. I was very often asked to be in jury and so on. Sometimes you are wonderful craftsmen and women who are incredible skilled, but at the end of the day, what they are producing is absolutely out of interest because they have a close sense of artistic, creativity. And sometimes you have wonderful designer who has absolutely no sense of the materials they will use and they don't get it, and it's quite interesting. And I think that today you have what Valérie is doing is really embodying the best of the past, bringing it really in something which is contemporary. I'm happy enough to be friends with this lady, so I very often go for dinner in her home. You are surrounded by all these objects. You don't feel that the objects are like you live with them, they are welcoming. It shows you that you can live also with, great object, artistic object. And I think that's interesting because it's something that Hector Guimard did and wanted to do, it's something that Rollman wanted to do, is something, and technically they did, or in the 17th century and the 18th century, great artists did. It was not for, only about museum very early assess the importance of this work for sure, but what is important for me, it's not only about museum. It's about, art at the highest sense of the word.
And I'm very struck because as somebody who teaches a lot about sustainable design, you're really describing sustainable design where you don't have lots of mass-produced things that are wasted, ultimately thrown in the garbage, but a few things that are meaningful, well-loved, and embraced.
Yeah.
And also, even if I would, I want to make 10 tapestry a year, it's impossible.
No.
There is no hand to do it.
How will you, I guess this would be a final question, how will you ensure then this continuity of understanding that you are producing with your practice? I mean, how will you make sure that the craftsmen retain their skill and pass it down to your daughters even, or the next generation? I mean, will you form workshops? Do you have a vision for that?
I will answer because I have a distance, because she's inside of it. So I will like more like an observer. I think what's interesting with Ymer Malta is that it's showing and proving to a larger audience that it is possible. Whatever time and energy it takes, it is possible. And you can transmit and you can show and display and experience that to new generation. But I think it's also very important is that when you do it in a contemporary way today, that brings something very different for a younger audience. So there we are talking about transmission. And I can say that, you know, what is quite powerful with the example of Valérie is that also that it really brings reality to a slow change of mind around specifically the French society. But the fact that, okay, métier d'art, craft, this kind of object produced with French craftsmen, French material, and with an openness to everything happened in Japan, America, you know, in Sweden, whatever. It's a deep change of mind. 20 years ago, a kid would have come to see his parents who say, I would like to be a craftsman, I would like to do marquetry. People would have said, no way. Go back to university, become a lawyer and a doctor. And that's true. And today, thanks to people like Valérie, and also, I would say, because we are also at the crossroad of many fields, art, a certain idea of what is luxury, when it's really luxury. We don't talk about, you know, low-key brands, but really luxury. Because all this, I mean, think about Hermès, you know, bringing young people into the materiality of a professional experience and apprenticeship, but also, you know, job, change a lot of the difference. And not today, a kid come to see you and say, I would like to work on leather because I saw a wonderful collection at Ymer Malta. And I think the parents will say, of course, fantastic, let's do that. And that's a big change because in France for a long time, I'm sure that's the same everywhere, but especially in Western society, because of Japanese friends have very different attitude about it. For example, say you to have intellectual work or very lucrative work and so on. I think that deeply you have a kind of value that even the French government tried to develop because craftsmen, that's why you take your car so much. They are not in big cities. They are all around the territories. And it's something you can export your work, but you cannot export a job. You know what I mean? So that means that what makes sense that it's here. So it's both global and local. And at a moment where a country like France asks itself so much question about, you know, what mean territories, or you try to struggle against desert inside the country where you have nothing, 50 kilometers around. That's also because there is people like Valérie who say, okay, I want this carpenter, I want this river in Aubusson. You know, when you go to Aubusson, it's really deep France. But we need these people, and we need this kind of person to have these people to move forward and to achieve something very new, because it brings another vision of our societies. So it's deeper, even deeper.
Yes, and I can tell you an example of that, because the director of Aubusson, La Cité de la Tapisserie, is really a man who makes things moving. That's why he came to me, entre autres. And now, when I start this collection, there is just one hotel. And the town was so sad. And now there is 3 hotels. Because this craftsmanship becoming again known as it not as it was for the moment before, but becoming something that people want to see. And when, for example, wood marquetry, when I start my collection in wood marquetry, people could not believe that the color of the wood was a real color. They were sure that I tinted the color. And I said, no, I spent so much time to find the right veneers to go with the another, to have no vein in the veneers to make things happen, to not destroy the draw. But people say, no, it's not possible. So they have to learn, they have to understand. And now look, people go to the Museum of Aubusson, and it was totally in the past.
I love hearing that. I just thank you so much for
Thank
your
you very
work,
much,
your practice, your vision, for being here in Washington, DC.
Thank you very
I
much.
look forward to tomorrow. And Olivier, thank you. Valérie, thank you.
Thank you, Olivier.
See, so you didn't have to announce.
Yeah.